I'm recording. Okay. Okay, so it seems like somebody is trying to join, but their like Wi-Fi is cutting out. But we can just go ahead and start because there's not that much like that she's gonna miss. So I don't want to waste anyone's time. So I'm just gonna start. Welcome to Office Hours. This is our first Office Hours for Computer Science Principles. My name is Rachel. I am the Fiveable Computer Science AP Computer Science Principles TA for the fall semester. So I was gonna start off. First to start off with, make sure to go follow Fiveable at Think Fiveable on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You know, if you decide to like post on your story about Fiveable, they'll probably repost it really quick. They're really good about that. So, you know, just make sure to tag them and follow them. And yeah, so I was gonna start off with an icebreaker, but obviously we're missing a few people. So, you know, I mean, Trisha, if you would like to put that into the chat or something, you can go ahead and do that. But I guess I can just talk about my favorite musical artist at the moment, just, you know, to fill some space because I don't want it to be like super awkward starting right away with content. So, you know, you can type that out, Trisha, or you can just like speak out if you feel like it. You don't have to. Don't feel pressured to do anything or anything like that. But for me, my favorite musical artist at the moment is probably a local band. They are called the Brook and the Bluff, and I really love them. They have a really good sound. I came in, they actually like used to go to a school system really near mine, so you know, now they live in like Nashville, and they kind of do like, I don't know what to call it, but I think it's like folk indie-ish kind of, I'm not sure, but really love their sound. And this is a GIF of a Cats of a Cats musical. I don't know what the context is behind this. I've never watched Cats, but I think it's kind of funny. So I'm just gonna move ahead. So today in this live stream, I'm going to kind of introduce, I think somebody's trying to join, okay. Okay, so today I'm going to introduce who I am and what my role is, a kind of my experience in AP Computer Science Principles, a pretty high level overview of the AP exam, and then like 1.1 of big idea number 1, and then some Q&A if you guys have any questions. So who am I? So my name is Rachel Yen. I'm your Fiveable TA for the AP Computer Science Principles semester, and it's a little different because we don't actually have a real course yet because we didn't reach the minimum number of signups for the course, but we will be running in the spring most likely. So be on the watch out for that. So I'm from Alabama, so that will be in Central Time. So most of my scheduling is going to be in Central Time, but definitely going to try to take in consideration you guys' time zones. So I'm going to probably send out a form later today or tomorrow about like time zones, just so I can schedule them in the most frequent time zones, just so it won't be confusing. So my experience with the course is that I took it last year as a sophomore, so I'm a junior now, and I got a 5 on it. But just to be clear, I did take the COVID-19 version of the AP Computer Science Principles exam. So it was a bridge. I did not have the multiple choice section. So I don't have the real live experience of doing the multiple choice section, but I have practiced it in the past because my teacher was really wanted us to practice it throughout the year. So we had like weekly reading quizzes and stuff like that. So, I can get more into that later on, but that's just to let you guys know, like, just to be clear, I did not take the entire AP exam, but I did take the COVID version, I guess. So my likes, you can kind of read them, but a fun fact about me is that I almost didn't take this exam or the course in general because it was my first kind of coding course or anything like that. So I didn't really feel like I really wanted to dive deep into a computer science course and like maybe fail or do horrible. But in the end, I decided to take it, and why not just like throw it out there, see how it goes. And actually, I really enjoyed it. So that was really interesting. I thought that was kind of funny looking back on it because now that's like one of my higher AP exams. So I thought that was pretty interesting to think about. Okay. So what is my role as a teaching assistant? So as a teaching assistant, we're a little bit different because I don't have a course. So usually I would moderate, live streams for the teacher and also do like office hours reviewing the teacher's content, but we don't have a teacher because we don't have a full course yet. So I'm just going to be moderating community in the Slack and fostering community. So trying to build out like office hours like these, or just like weekly nights or game nights or things like that. Providing support to students who are struggling with key concepts, things like that. Just anything I can do to help you guys like in the Slack channel with your course, because I know sometimes like if a computer science course is new to a school, there's a lot of things that go unanswered and it's really hard for the teacher to kind of get a hold of things. So, I'm just here to provide help for everyone. And so if I click on this link here, there's going to be a Notion kind of workspace that I created for everyone, and it's an AP Computer Science Principles Hub. So this is kind of what it looks like. I haven't completely finished it out yet, but I just added like, the intro page that I sent out into the Slack, and I have a bunch of other things that I'm going to be adding. Just for like reference, these office hours will be recorded and posted here, but they're also going to be on the Fiveable website. So I would definitely recommend checking them out on the Fiveable website because that's where they're going to be. Oops, sorry, goodness. Just for like everyone to see. So yeah. So the next slide is kind of what my experience was like and what to expect. So in my particular course, I learned Snap, App Inventor, and Python. So the interesting thing about computer science principles is that it's different from CSA because the teacher can pick whichever language they want to pick. So, you know, you can learn code.org, you can learn Python, you can learn App Inventor, Snap, or, you know, Scratch. There's a bunch of other languages. And so that makes it a little complicated for me because I did not have, like, I was not required to learn all of those languages, so I don't have as much experience with all of them. But, you know, if you have a certain format that you are using or certain code that you're using in class and you're really confused with that, you know, I'm down to learn it with you. Just as long as, like, I know which code and which, like, platforms you're using, so then I can, you know, learn along with you and things like that. So for Snap, I used Beauty and Joy of Computing. So that's kind of like an online course type of thing. And so we just did a few of those courses in the beginning of the year to just figure out how to, like, you know, code with that. So Snap is basically Scratch. So it's like block coding, but it is kind of built with UC Berkeley. I think Scratch is built by a completely different, like, company or something like that. So just kind of what to expect. My this course was actually my second AP class I ever took. Sorry, that's supposed to say took right there. And it was very different from the other AP classes that I took. So for reference, in my freshman year, I took AP Psychology, and that was mostly memorization. And I really loved the course, but the complexity was a lot different than AP Computer Science Principles. So Principles is, I wouldn't say it's a harder AP exam, just to be honest, but it is complex because it is a completely different way of thinking than most people are used to. And so that, like, can either help or affect them. And for me in the beginning, it actually affected me a lot. I actually had a pretty hard time in the beginning, kind of getting on track of everything and learning everything in time, because there was some really hard reading quizzes that we had. And you might be wondering, reading quizzes, like, this is a coding class, like, why would you be taking reading quizzes? Well, Principles actually has a lot of reading involved and a lot of, like, history type of things, because Principles is more about the kind of overview of the internet, overview of coding, so like binary and hex and things like that, and you have to kind of read to learn about them. So there's a lot of reading involved, but, you know, that kind of slowly introduces you from, like, a regular class where you, like, read a textbook and you do problems to kind of like a mix of both. And then if you ever take CSA in the future, CSA is mostly just Java. There is still a little bit of reading, but it's just learning how to code Java basically. And so that's kind of just for reference. And so if you could go ahead and type in the chat, which languages and platforms do you think your teacher is going to use, or do you know? Because I'm not sure what's going on with everyone's school right now, because definitely COVID is affecting, you know, who is having school right now. I know some people just started and some people have been started for, like, months. So I'd just like to know. And if you don't know, you can just put, I have no idea, because that's completely fine too. Yeah, not really sure if I can actually see anything. Code.org. Okay, code.org. Okay, so I have a little bit of experience with code.org. It's kind of similar to Snap, but it's a lot more interactive. So, like, you know, you probably already know. So, I mean, you've been using it. So, you know, has, like, the explanations with the code and things like that, and, like, videos beforehand. Snap is a little more like, just figure it out on yourself, figure it out on your own. So, yeah, that'll definitely be interesting. I can definitely start looking into code.org. I actually didn't know code.org has, like, a full curriculum on the website, but that's really cool. So I'll definitely look into that. Okay. So computer science principles, course and examination description. So if you didn't already know, you know, every single AP course has a course and examination description. And I've never really read it before this year. And I knew they existed, but I didn't really, like, pay attention because I was like, oh, it's just another College Board thing. But this book is very, very helpful. I'm going to put a link on here so you can click on it later. And I might have it pulled up, I'm not sure. But basically, the course and examination description has every single unit laid out and the learning objectives for each unit, and for this course, there's big ideas. So the learning objectives for the big ideas, and those are really important because you need to be able to answer every single one of those to be successful on the AP exam. So you probably have heard of like those Barron's books or Princeton Review books that have like, you know, for AP Computer Science Principles or AP Bio. And those books are basically from what I can tell, the course and examination description, but kind of condensed and with practice problems. So the course and examination description does have practice problems, but these books kind of supplement more practice problems. So I think they're really helpful, but definitely a free thing to look at is the course and examination description. They're so helpful. You can read ahead and see kind of what you need to learn in the future just so you can be successful, you know, later on in the course. And it helps you like draw big ideas so you can kind of figure out, oh, so this might tie in with this later on. And so that will really help you with kind of learning the course. So this is a sample. Oh goodness, this is out of order. Sorry, this is not expected. Okay. Okay. Ooh, I must have moved this out of the way. Goodness. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm gonna just go into like a very high level overview of what, you know, the course is, the AP exam is. So this year, the AP exam is actually different from last year, before COVID even. So last year there was a create performance task, a explore performance task, and of course the end of year exam, which has the multiple choice. But this year, there's only 2 sections. So the first section is going to be a multiple choice course exam. So there's going to be 70 questions and about 120 minutes. So that's going to be like, I think like 2-ish minutes for each question. And that's going to be 70% of your score. So that's a significant portion of your score, which means that a lot of focus needs to be on those, you know, practicing those AP style questions because they're very different from what you might expect. So there's going to be 57 single multiple choice, so just regular, you know, prompts and then questions, and then there's going to be 5 single select questions with a reading passage. So you'll have to read the passage and then answer questions based off of that passage, kind of like similar to, you know, an English portion, I'm guessing. And then 8 multiple choice selections. So you're going to have 2 answer choices that are correct for 8 of those questions. And then I'm guessing this new computing innovation, you know, part is to replace the old explore task, because there used to be an explore task where you would write a project similar to the create about, you know, computing innovation. So you'd research, for example, Snapchat, and so you'd be like, you write all this, write about a Snapchat and then make a video explaining Snapchat and like why it's a computing innovation. But now I'm guessing they just got rid of that. So the second part is just the create performance task. So the create performance task is going to be 30% of your score, and it's kind of a project plus a write-up. So the students will develop a program of their choice. It can be about anything, honestly. And then you will have like a very long write-up with very specific requirements on it. And you will be given time in class to complete this. So your teacher should make you work on this project for at least 12 hours in class. And honestly, they'll probably give you more. And just to be clear, they can't, you know, those teachers specifically cannot help you on this project. They have to just let you go. So most likely you're going to be practicing these projects early on because, you know, they're pretty important and you probably want to get them done before, you know, the deadline, so you have extra time to practice for the exam. So, this is just a sample create performance task. This is my performance task. Not my for the AP exam, but one of my practice ones. They're kind of out of order, but here. So this is kind of the, here, let me just, sorry, these are a little out of order. Okay. This is my, you know, mock create PT, you know, kind of write-up type of thing. So you can make a PDF document of any format, any style, but I really recommend using this, you know, kind of graph table-ish organizer because it really helps the reader read through each thing and check off the rubric list. And I'll go through the rubric probably another time because I did read on the Google form that everyone filled out that most people had a good understanding of the exam. So I didn't want to go too far in depth, but this is just an example. So, have the purpose, function, language, video shows for 2A, and then you do that for each thing. And then for 2C, you have to select algorithms from your project and then explain them. And then you can see them here too. And then you have to have an abstraction too, which I can go into later on what exactly an abstraction is. And then you have to explain them here. And so this is kind of another component of the sample create is a video. And so this is actually not my video. I couldn't find my actual video, but it's just, kind of video of this code working. And yeah, so we can just sit here for a little bit. Okay, so basically, as you can probably tell from this video, your create performance task does not need to be very complicated. It can be pretty simple, but as long as you have the particular algorithms that College Board is looking for. And so I can go into depth about those particular things, later on, just closer to the exam or closer just to the end of the semester type of thing, just so it will stick longer because I don't want to start off too strong about the AP exam because that's pretty far ahead. And so I would forget if I personally had to learn about the AP exam early on in the year. So I'm just going to go in pretty high level overview of the AP exam. So this is a sample multiple choice question. So, you can read this together. So a user purchased a new smart home device with embedded software and connected the device to a home network. The user then registered the device with the manufacturer, setting up an account using a personal email and password. So which of the following explains how a phishing attack could occur against the user of the home smart device? So first, to answer this question, you need to know what phishing is. So what is phishing? Well, phishing is when fraudulent emails are sent in order to get a user's personal information. So you've probably heard of those fake emails that you have to ignore. And phishing is basically what it is. So some examples of phishing are when you get those emails that are please click this link here to redeem, $500. And you can obviously tell it's fake. Those are used to get your personal information from your computer. So, if you get the IP address from a user, you can find out where they live, where their internet is connected, things like that. And then there's a more complicated version of phishing, which is called spear phishing. It's kind of outside of the AP Computer Science Principles course, but it's just something fun to learn. Emails that are sent to employers or coworkers with personal information to attack their reputation. So these can be used maliciously to kind of affect their personal life. And that's basically what spear phishing is. So for this sample exam question, we can just sit here for a little bit and I'll give you a minute to kind of process this question. And if you would like to put the answer that you think is right in the chat, you can go ahead and do that. Oh, sorry, okay. Sorry, I did not see your chat because the chat, it keeps on going away, but the purpose of the performance task is to show that you have learned how to code a project and understand algorithms. So throughout the year, you kind of have to learn what is an algorithm, what different types of algorithms there are, what's the difference between sequencing algorithms and else if other different types of algorithms. And so the create performance task is designed for College Board to see if you have learned those things properly, and then also to see if you can, code using the language that you've learned. And so those are like, that's kind of the main reason, because there isn't like a actual coding portion at the end of the year exam, because I think there's just too much different coding, so like that just wouldn't work out. So that's why they decided to create the create performance task. So C. Let's see what the answer is. Yeah, so you're right, it is C. So why is it C? You probably already know because you answered it right. But the user is sent an email appearing to be from the manufacturer, and so obviously they click on it, their information is stolen. So the answer is C, because all of the other answer choices do not have anything to do with emails or phishing or anything like that. They do have to do with security risks and data breaches, but C, of course, is the only correct answer. So this is another sample choice question, and it's kind of the robot example that is seen most commonly when you first teach computer science principles. And it's a little harder to explain on like a computer screen, because usually you'd have an eraser, so you'd be like, oh, you move here, 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 and then you turn. That's how I usually kind of process it out, because it's a little hard to do in your brain. But if you could just look at that and just take, kind of a guess about what you think the answer is. And it doesn't have to be right, because it is a little harder to do online. Okay, so the answer is actually C. So let me see. Let's look at B. So repeat 3 times. So N is 1, so you repeat this 1 time. So it would be move forward 1, and then you turn left, and so then you're facing upwards, and then you move forward 1, and then you rotate right, and then you go forward 2 times. Oh, goodness. So then you go forward 2 times. So forward, left, and then forward, right, and then you move 2, so you're forward, left, upward, right, and then you move 1, 2. Okay, so then you do this again, so you move forward once, and then you move, and then you turn left. So then I think that's where it kind of goes off course a little. Oh, I need to stop clicking on that, sorry. That's kind of where it goes off course a little bit. So move forward, left, forward, and then right, and then forward, forward. So yeah, I think that's kind of where it goes off a little bit. So this is a little complicated to explain online why it's D, but basically I think it's, so you move forward, you repeat N times, so N is 1, so you move forward once, and then you rotate left, then move forward, let's see, you move forward once, rotate, turn left, move forward, and then you rotate right, and then you move 1, 2. And you can kind of see how that kind of works. So then you move forward. That's a little confusing. I'm not sure. I know D is the correct answer because of College Board. This is like their actual answers. However, it is a little confusing to explain online, because I can't really show that. But we can definitely go back and look at this later. But I just want to move on real quick, just for time's sake. It's okay. It's really hard to honestly do this online. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a paper exam if you do end up taking it, in May. So, you can use your eraser, just have a pencil cap eraser. I don't have one with me. And just do that, because, it kind of looks silly if you think about it, but it's really helpful because, you know, it's really hard to kind of do this in your head, this robot example, but there's probably going to be like a couple of those questions because College Board really loves a robot example for some reason. So yeah. Let's move ahead. So there are 5 main big ideas. And so main idea number 1 is going to be creative development. That's 10 to 13% of your exam. Then there's going to be main idea number 2, which is data. So that's a little bit more. And then there's going to be algorithms and programming, which is quite a bit. And this is likely going to be, you know, some of it's going to be in the multiple choice, but a lot of it's also going to be in the create. And so next is computer systems and networks. So that's kind of like what, you know, computers are, like what the internet is, things like that. And then the impact of computing. So, you know, the real world example, like what has the internet and computing done for the world. And that's kind of more like the history type of things that you're gonna have to learn in this class. So yeah. So today we're gonna kind of go over into a like high level overview of creative development. So that's the first main idea. So for today, I only put out slides for 1.1 and not 1.2. I was going to do 1.1 and 1.2, but I decided I don't want to go too much into depth with the program function and purpose because it's kind of a little more out there and I kind of want to explain more of it. So I want to keep that for another office hours. And then those office hours, we would go through, you know, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4. And that would just complete the main idea. And just like also, I forgot to explain it earlier, principles is a little different than most other courses because it has main ideas instead of, I guess, like topics. Like I know AP has periods, so these main ideas are pretty high level overviews of like what you need to learn, and there's a lot into it. So like the curriculum is a lot more specific than these main ideas. But kind of to stray away from trying to teach a course, I'm going to try to go over the main ideas because, you know, I'm not a teacher, so I can't teach you all of the course and guarantee that it's correct. So I just want to go over like a high level overview of things just to make sure. Yeah, so I'm super sorry. I like have a really hard time seeing the chat right now because it doesn't pop up for some reason. So yeah, it is a little different than units. So units are going to be within the different big ideas. So kind of like, I guess maybe it could be like, maybe for like an English course, you have, oh no, it's okay. You can just type in the chat. That's completely fine. Just whatever you're comfortable with. But so like main ideas are going to be more of like what we want to achieve. So you want to achieve the ability to know how to collaborate and things like that, but you're not going to have a unit on how to collaborate because obviously you know how to do that. You just need to practice that. So they want you to achieve the like bigger idea, but the units are going to be more based on like, for example, you know, like an algorithm. So you would learn about algorithms for like a couple weeks or something. And that's not, you know, one of the main ideas. Well, it kind of is, but it's not like, it's not specifically one of the like main ideas. And there's more within the units than the main ideas. So like the units would correspond to the main ideas, but they wouldn't like be within. So sorry, that's kind of complicated to explain, but the main ideas are kind of overarching throughout the whole course. And so you're trying to achieve those within each of the units, not just like, oh, this main idea corresponds to this unit. If that makes sense. I'm sorry, I kind of like over-explain sometimes. Yeah. So collaboration. So this is, you know, you might be wondering like what does computing innovations have to do with collaboration? Well, computing innovations are programs that things that include computer science programming as a very big part of its function. So an example of a computing innovation is going to be like a self-driving car or e-commerce or picture editing software. So, you know, they can be non-software computing innovations such as like non-software computing innovations such as like e-commerce, like that's different than software. That's going to be something that's online. And also like it can be non-physical. So like editing softwares and e-commerce are not physical. And then physical, there's a lot of physical computing innovations such as self-driving cars. But there's also a pretty confusing and blurred line between what is considered and what is not considered a computing innovation. And so what is not considered a computing innovation is going to be like a digital clock, fiber optic cables, bitcoins, and police body cameras, and also wireless phone charging. And there's a lot more examples, a lot more examples about what is or what is not a computing innovation. And that's kind of tough to learn at first, but you kind of get a hang of things. And honestly, from my personal experience, I think it's safest to choose computing innovations that you know for sure are going to be considered computing innovations by College Board, because there's less of a chance that you can, do the wrong thing, and like have a whole project on like a incorrect computing innovation. But obviously there is no explore task, so it's not as important to differentiate the difference, but that will likely be in your course because your teacher has probably taught it before, so they're probably going to like bring that up a little bit. And it's also probably going to be a question on the exam. So definitely know the difference between computing innovation and computing innovations and just inventions. Because you might think, oh, Bitcoin, it's online, but it's kind of a fine line because it's not necessarily, coding. It's kind of more like, it's very complicated. So there's not like a real reason why College Board considers certain things like Bitcoin computing innovations, but I would just go with more safe examples. So like Google Glasses or self-driving cars are a surefire way to ensure that you're going to get like a good computing innovation. But obviously, there's no explore anymore, so there's only a create performance task. So I wouldn't worry too much about this, like the differentiation, but it's just a good thing to know. And so kind of like how does computing innovations have anything to do with collaboration? Well, basically the main idea is to learn how collaboration is really important for computing innovations because, more people on a project equals more brains, that equals more perspectives. So you kind of get to learn how important collaboration and group work is for computer science in general, but also for making projects such as computing innovations. And this is because, when you're implementing a project, you can have one opinion and just stick with it and then go all the way through and then realize like, wow, I really messed up on the whole project. But if you have somebody there to help you with that, they can kind of bounce ideas back and forth and you guys can determine like what is truly a good idea. And then also they can check for your mistakes and vice versa. And also you can have like a bigger perspective on different ideas. So honestly, it's pretty hard sometimes because you kind of get married to an idea during a project, but then your partner is like at a completely different page. But that really kind of helps with compromise and figuring out like what's best for a whole group of people. And also just in general, computing innovations are for the general public. So you might have a different perspective than other people. This is kind of seen in like AI nowadays. I don't know if anyone knows about this, but AIs like artificial intelligence have been proven to be almost discriminatory because of the people who have been working on them. So, if a specific population, maybe men, are working on artificial intelligence, they're going to be more likely to model that around a guy. What does a guy have? Like, what are their qualities? Like, how would they think? When like a female would not correspond or react in the same way to that AI. So then like the AI only picks up on maybe males compared to females. And also there's like been reports of AI is not recognizing darker skinned people because they were modeled only on lighter skinned people. So it's kind of like built in, like you might think computing innovations are going to be like non-biased, but the person who's making them may be biased, which causes bias within those computing innovations. So that's like how it's very important to have collaboration and full frontal, kind of figuring out all of the different perspectives so that your computing innovation works for everyone. And that's seen in a lot of different examples, especially with the lack of diversity within the tech industry. And so that's just kind of something to think about. And so for this big idea specifically, you're probably going to be working on a bunch of partner projects or just collaborative projects in general, just to kind of learn the process of coding with somebody. It definitely would be different if you were maybe self-studying, because if you were self-studying, then you wouldn't have anyone necessarily to partner with. But of course, the Fiveable course in the spring would have this kind of like collaborative part, so you would learn this main idea. And so you're probably going to see a lot of partner projects throughout the year. This is kind of to reinforce learning that collaborative aspect. And so that's all I have for today. So if you have any questions, or maybe if you want to go back and look at that robot question, so we can like kind of work through it, you can go ahead and just type in the chat or speak out. Or if you don't have anything, you can just say that too. Definitely in the future, I want to make sure the slides are in order. This is my first time ever like doing a Fiveable stream, so yeah, just trying to get used to the whole thing. Trying to see the chat. I don't have any questions. Okay, cool. So, you know, if you don't have any other questions, you know, you can feel free to leave. We ended it a little early, but that's completely fine. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend. And yeah, so you can just hang around here if you have any other things, or you can just, you know, leave the stream, and that's completely fine. So yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. I can't wait to see you later on in the chat. So yeah, bye.